it's the proudest day, the proudest time, and the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all we said. I can still picture that run. It was just the best run ever.
Welcome to Krunching Gears, the rally podcast, the Donegal Special, part 2. Connor, on the previous episode, we thought we'd got onto the Donegal Rally fever. I think the pace is getting hotter and hotter as we go on.
Listen, it absolutely is, and now that we've scratched the itch with the modified men, what do you call it? Yeah, like there's some battle to be coming up this weekend.
Yeah, that's for sure. And we get the opportunity to speak with Kevin Gallagher, Frank Kelly, Declan Gallagher, David Bogie, Gary Kiernan, and Daniel McKenna, and that is a blast. We also get a chance to catch up with Kevin O'Driscoll. He kind of goes into, we talk a wee bit about the history of the event, and then the Tarmac Championship, the kind of where everybody's out there and that. And then finally, for the younger generation, a young fella, Jason McConnell, he's one of the last cars starting out on Friday morning, but he is like a TikTok sensation or a social media influencer, or whatever you want to call. And I just think I found it a very interesting conversation with him. I think it's something that probably rallying hasn't even tapped into yet, but I think it's going to be so big in the future. But anyway, Connor, these modified men, Class 14, Donegal, the two-wheel drive, it's the title that they all want. They all want that trophy in the mantelpiece. You know, these guys are all fighting for it come Friday morning.
Listen, they're like, you know, this is as competitive as the top end. You know, it really is. Like, there's no messing around. There's no sideways drifting down the road, entertaining anymore. This is all about every second or split second counts.
That's for sure. I think we've seen Calvin a few weeks ago, like the rally, the two-wheel drive rally, decided by 0.1 of a second, you know, and like that is, they can't afford to run wide, like a spin of the wheel or anything, you know, it's precision driving, as you say. There's no room for the slides or the leery bit of driving anymore in the rear-wheel drive cars.
Absolutely. And again, some incredible machinery as well. Like, you know, the spec of these Mark IIs and the what do you call it, the Darien as well. It's just incredible, you know, the machinery that's out there.
Yeah, and don't forget the Starlets and the Corollas as well too, you know.
Well, listen, absolutely.
Yeah,
like, you know, you mentioned the Corolla, like Kevin Eves, he's just incredible. You know, the giant killing performances in that.
For the stage times he's been in is unbelievable. And like, you know, not to take anything away from now, the rest of the guys there every bit equally as quick too, but it's going to be a fascinating battle. It'll be interesting to see how high up the overall leaderboard. I think by Sunday evening, I think they're going to be in top 6, maybe 7 or 8 anyway. I would think by the end of the rally. It's just interesting just to see how far up they can climb.
Absolutely, listen, and the weather seems to be keep improving. I think there's maybe rain just for Friday, possibly, but Saturday and Sunday's looking good now, whereas a bit questionable. Again, that'll all play into the hands, and you know, the drier the stages are, obviously, the harder these guys are going to go.
Yeah, either get the grip down then, but it's, you know, and not only class 14, class 13, class 12, class 11, you know, every class there's the level of competition this weekend is going to be, you know, outstanding.
Yeah, look, absolutely. As a spectator, it's fantastic. You know, you go there and it's a full day's entertainment because you're watching battles at every part, you know, in every class, right through the whole field. And you know, again, looking forward to the juniors when they're out as well. So, you know, it's a great entertainment.
Yeah, like you know, you have the juniors on doing the 6 stages on the Sunday, and then the historics join in Saturday morning as well too. So, you know, and like, those historic guys, every event that you go to now, in fairness, they do a wee bit of sideways as well too. So, you know, they're a bit of yahooing with them. But again, like, it's so competitive as well. It's like historic rallying from 20 years ago is unrecognisable to what it is now today as well.
Oh yeah, look, as much as anybody else, these guys are out to win. They're not there just for the crack either. There is that, as you say, there's that trophy for the mantle, and it's Donegal, and it matters.
That is for sure. That's for sure. But behind, yes, every second counts on the stages. But the banter, these guys have, what can we say? We'll let you hear now. Kevin Gallagher, Frank Kelly, Declan Gallagher, David Bogie, Gary Kiernan, and Daniel McKenna. We were in stitches before and after we were recording this, and during it as well too, we should say. But anyway, over to them. Kevin Gallagher, you won the modified in Donegal last year, or two-wheel drive now, I suppose it's called. It's not National Rally anymore. You're starting first modified on the road. Does that bring its own pressures?
I suppose it does a bit. Look, we're looking forward to it now. Definitely, in new stages and Friday should be a bit of a mix-up, but there's a wee bit of pressure, I suppose, when you're starting from the front. You can everybody's chasing you, I suppose, put it that way. But no, we're happy enough.
Yeah. And Donegal is the one that everybody wants. To finally get that one last year, was it a big relief? Was it a joy, or was it a mixture of both, really?
Oh, look, I was happy to win it last year now because we'd been close for a few years, and it's a big event to finish. Never mind get away clean for the whole rally, pretty much. And apart from a wee bit of bother with the clutch, I suppose, on the Sunday last year, but no, it's nice to get around it clean and get a good result.
Yeah. And Daniel McKenna, you've won the rally as well. A few years ago. You know what it means to Donegal. It's probably one of the highlights of the year for yourself now that you're a Donegal man now. Good to get yourself back into Donegal frame of mind again.
Yeah, sure. Look, it's the duel in the Irish Motorsport Crown. Only 3-day event as well, so it's more like a marathon event. But really looking forward to going back to the event again. It's a privilege to be able to get going to Donegal in the first place. With sponsors off the back and stuff, it's a big cost, but the publicity you get out of the event, I think it's well worthwhile. And it looks like the club is putting a big effort in this year now with the new stages and stuff. So looking forward to the new format.
That's for sure. That is for sure. And David, you've built a new Mark II for and you've always stated that that Donegal is the one rally that you look forward to every year. The new stage provides a new challenge for everybody this year, and it's a clean sheet of paper going into Friday morning.
Yeah, it does, to be fair. I think it'll suit me, going into the Friday with new stages that nobody really knows. So, yeah, hey, looking forward to it. I think historically I've always been quite a slow starter in Donegal. So, hopefully this time we can get off on the right foot and get a good run on the Friday.
And then Declan Gallagher. Declan, I suppose you haven't done much rallying from Donegal last year. You've done at least there last weekend. Was that kind of to get the rust knocked off, and do you feel you're in a good place now heading into next weekend?
I suppose just to get the rust knocked off, like you say. But you always need to run out there, even probably would need a couple of runs out before Donegal, But look at it, it's a big challenge ahead. New stages on Friday this year, and it's I think a lot of them boys are on a big pace there now, and it's gonna be tough going there, in fairness, for 3 days.
That's for sure. That is for sure. And Gary Kiernan, you want to the dark side, and Kevin, you want out in the R5 car. I heard you saying before the start you would love to get back into your escort, and Kevin, is there any comparison except the steering wheel is it comparable at all, the escort to the R5?
No, I wouldn't say so. Total different driving style, everything different. All right, your notes can be the same, similar, just different speeds for different corners, and slow up faster on short distances and stuff. Bumps are nothing to them, but the adrenaline rush and the buzz you get to them out when you have a good stage on the limit, it's hard bet. It'll not be bet.
And Frank, yourself, there was a wise man once told me there was two types of rally drivers: those who drove a 2.5 and those who wanted to drive it like a 2.5. And that's kind of, we've all on here tonight, all your 2.5 men. Is there something special about that car? A 2.5 going to an event like Donegal?
Oh, there is, surely. It's like one of the lads there, it's a privilege to get doing Donegal, and then a 2.5 is was it Mark Dolphin used to say is Millington or a 2.5 is like swimming with a shark. It just wants to kill you all the time. But it's a marathon event. It's tough to get through them 3 days without making a mistake or doing something wrong. Having said that, in recent years, it's become every day is a sprint on its own. You used to be able to try and use Friday to bed yourself in and then bump it up on Saturday and then go mental on Sunday. But now you just need to be mental from the word get-go, and I can't really do that for 3 days without hitting something. So it's about trying to get a happy medium. I thought last year actually was probably my best Donegal ever. 3 days without making a mistake or hitting anything, and kept a good pace the whole 3 days. But it goes to show you, like, we were, I think, 8th in the national, or 7th or 8th at the end of it, and there was very little dropouts. The level of Kiara now, the level of 2.5 and hard hitting 2 litres out there, they're all prepared to a very high level. So you can't expect the tradition, the attrition that you used to get over the years. There's a lot of guys who's going to be, there's a dozen men could win 2-wheel drive, and I would say by the end of it, 10 of them will probably still be there. Yeah. So it's hell for leather for 3 days.
Yeah, like there is no bedding in. There is, like as you say, like you were always notoriously, like you always said yourself, like Friday was your day to kind of get up to the pace. Like you just can't do that now. Like we've seen Calvin there, like a wheel spin coming out of a corner decides the rally. Like it's got to that level.
I should really start Donegal on Thursday and get that out of the way. By Friday we might be sort of half in the top 10, but it's one of them things. And then the new stages, I really prefer there weren't new stages, because if you could have half a notion of what I like, it would give you an idea, give you a chance. But listen, I suppose it is what it is. It'll be interesting to see, and it's still nice to get doing the Knockallahs and Fanad and Glen and all them things on Saturday and Sunday, and that's the incentive to get there, to get doing them things.
That's for sure. That is for sure. And like Daniel, for yourself, like you're living outside Donegal town now. You're seeing what this is going to bring to this area. Like there's a great buzz already starting to build down around South Donegal here. There's a great excitement, for the rally coming down here.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of talk about it down around here. I work in Abbots here in the town, and the service area is going to be outside the door. And everyone you're chatting in work is on about it. I think there's like I said last year, there's no more annual leave to be taken, because people don't have to go travelling way up to the north of the country now. Like a lot of people are saying, no, it's going down past my house, or it's going up past my uncle's farm, or whatever. So yeah, it's like a long time since it was down in this country. I think it was 1982 when it was in Bundoran. So yeah, I think it's a good thing. Like I know Frank likes the familiarity, but I think it's no harm to get a bit of a change, and it's handier for spectators coming up from the south as well. I don't know what's going to be now going up through Ballybuffet on Friday evening. Yeah. And get a helicopter or something. Maybe David can help us out.
And like David, like you mentioned, like the new stages is probably good for you, but you still want to do your classic stages as well, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what brings me back to Donegal year after year. So the Knockallahs, the Glens, the Fanads, Atlantic Drive, and so on. Yeah, that's there's some stages.
Yeah, and your new car, it's been a troublesome start, but do you feel that you're getting there with the issues around it?
Yeah, I think so. I think the car out of the box has been pretty good, to be fair. And there is obviously more development work, setup work to do, but no, we're pretty happy going into Donegal. The recent events, the Tour of the Sperrins and the Jim Clark, it was drive shaft failure in both events, so it was just due to not getting the drive shafts that were required in time. So drive shafts are here; they've landed, and we're ready for starting on Friday.
Excellent. And like Kevin, you not only have to prepare yourself for Donegal and all that entails, you're also building engines for other guys. Busy time of the year for yourself.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we're kind of getting well wrapped up with the days between going recce, and now we'll probably recce Sunday and Wednesday. So there's only really tomorrow and Monday and Tuesday left to get any work done. So it's under pressure, all right. But it's always the same. Like it's coming, and the 2 to 3 weeks up to Donegal is always kind of mental busy.
Yeah, and the new stages, you go to recce them. Do you have to spend more time on them than you would on your more familiar stages?
Probably not so much, really. Just I suppose you have your notes from before for the other stages, and you can kind of get them right quicker. But like I wouldn't find myself getting any benefit out of doing more than 2 or 3 runs over a stage anyway. So no, they'll be fine. Like I'll be happy enough with the. Had a wee watch at them on the DVD there actually last night, and they're different to probably the stages in the rest of the weekend. But I think they'll be a good change.
Yeah, for sure. And like Declan, like it would be, this area too. Like you're not far away from this area yourself. Great to see the event come down here as well.
It's definitely to see. It's a good change, I think. But like I suppose I would have done stages in that terrain maybe going back to the harvest 2012, and that time it was a wet day, like but the stages were good. They were really good driving stages, But no, it's good to see. I think it's a good change in fairness, and it's good to see it coming over this part of the world, to be honest.
Yeah, that's for sure. That is for sure. And Gary, like for yourself, like the 2.5, it's it's the class, as I said earlier. It's every man either has one or wants one. Like you have been a strong supporter now over the last few years. Like the competition's getting intense and getting more intense nearly every event.
Yeah, there seems to be more boys coming up the ladder and getting the swing of the cars. The more competition, the better. It brings everyone on. So if someone steps up their pace, like Kevin and Badarian, but like Kevin Eves, who's having a strong run, and Daniel knows he'd pip you on the last stage. He's not bet till it's over. So he's on a good pace there at the minute. But he brings that sort of level, brings everyone up. It's not just one person stands out. Everyone has to improve and try and get their car better to go faster. So that's what I enjoy.
Mm-hmm. I like Daniel. Yeah, commiserations on Kevin, but like, but like
Sorry for that, Daniel.
I'm on Gary. Thanks. But
like, it's probably in some ways, if somebody would give you that at the start of the day, you'd have took it.
Yeah, definitely. Like we hadn't finished an event this year thus far. Like so, we were going in, we didn't really what to expect, and I hadn't much seat time, as I was telling you beforehand, because events were cut short for us. But and like Kevin and Mark and the guys they're in a serious pace, like in the national events and among others. And sure, look at Richard Mofford. We had a good time in the second stage, and Rich took 12 seconds out of us. I think he was a bit hot and bothered with the seeding, but it just shows what he can do when he gets his mind in the game. So yeah, it's nice to be on the pace. We had a good rally, but it was really preparation for Donegal, just to make sure the car's right and stuff. But unfortunately, I just relaxed a wee bit too much on the last stage. I'm blaming Kiernan. Kiernan decided to change the wheel in front of me, and he was put up too much dust. I couldn't see where it was going. Careful, Carrie. I think Kiernan told you to let on there's a flat wheel.
How many Eves you got a pack going on, you reckon? Or
Eves, it's meant to say Eves, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. But like Declan, you haven't done much rallying this year, but like you see the pace these guys is at, and like it's relentless. Like it's from stage 1 to like stage 9 in the national rally, and Donegal will be from stage 1 to right to the bitter end. Like there's no margin for error out there now at all.
No, definitely not. Like when you see how tight it was there, Kevin, between Kevin and Daniel there, it's only run wide in one corner. That's the difference. Like and they seem to be hammering toes from the word goal just to the very end. Like, but them boys are in a brave pace. Like, and not be too easy to match that. Like.
I don't think you'll be far away. I hear this. Be hard to match. He said. Probably clean us in the first one.
I don't know about that.
No, we'll see.
And like David, is that what keeps bringing you back to Ireland? To do these events, like the close competition, but also the crack that you boys have amongst each other there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's it's Irish rally and modified rallying, especially. I just love it in modifieds. I've obviously done a lot of years in World Rally cars, Group N cars, R5 cars. So it's good to come back and do more in the modifieds. And I think as Gary said earlier, when somebody's going quick at the front, it just brings everyone on, and the pace now, it's class.
Yeah, and like Kevin, like you seen where you had to be in Donegal last year at the, to keep ahead of these guys, and like the pace hasn't slackened since last year. Like you've done a couple of events now in the lead up. Is it hard to get back onto that pace again, or do you feel confident enough going into the rally now?
With a couple of decent enough events there now in the lead up to it. But look, at the same time, you don't know till you get to the end of the stage how you're going, really. Like or to the end of the day, like there's that many guys in there. It's just hard to watch. Like I think now Kevin Eves could be one to watch on the Friday. Like because they're probably fairly local to him and he's on a great pace. Like, but look, there are probably 8 or 10 guys there.
Yeah, like that's the great thing. Like car, you've been running first modified on the road, or the guy running 12th or 15th on the road could bring in a time that just could blow everybody out of the weeds.
That's it. Look, there is at least 10 and 12 guys on their day. There could be fighting for the lead. Like, so you can't discount anybody at all. Like, and it's just a series long event to get through, and especially with the weather that's been around. Like if it's going to be hot like that, it's going to be a lot harder on the cars as well.
Yeah, like Frank, like, does the weather conditions play into the event as well? Like it's obviously going to be hotter in the car, but does that have an effect on the mechanical components of the car as well?
It does indeed. You can feel the grip level and the abuse the transmission gets, the gearbox, the prop shaft, the back axle, the half shafts. That's why all these boys, all their cars refreshed, same as mine. I just finished the gearbox in mine. And from the flywheel back, you do everything. I say to lads, you build the car fresh for the beginning of the year and you build it fresh for Donegal. It gets everything, because if it's dry, it's going to be seriously sore and everything. And it's remembering, Gary, you're not in an R5 and getting the foot off the throttle when you're hitting the ground again. And that's where I fell down a few times, where you get that carried away, the whole thing, the foot's the headlight, and you're getting light over bumps and stuff. And next thing there's a snap and the diff tries to go out through the back of the axle or something. But try and ease that back and not be on the throttle when you're hitting the ground again.
I think it was Chris Melly I was talking to in Cavan, and he says like not only going up the box but nearly coming down the box is sore on all the components of the car, because it's all trying to stow everything down. It's going against its initial reactions, kind of thing.
Depends how ignorant or who you are, really. And I would be fairly well up in that ignorantism. When you on a warm day when grip levels are like that and you're maybe starting to run a bit low on brakes and stuff, the gearbox, the sequential's handy to start trailing the back or up down the road. But no, it's sore and everything. But and I think sometimes if you don't know the mechanics of the car, it's a help to you, because you don't realise how sore you're being and everything. I do tend to sometimes realise, right, you're going to break this, Frank, if you keep doing this. So just calm it down a wee bit.
Mm-hmm.
But like my good mate Adrian Hamilton doesn't know what's connected to what, and doesn't give one shit. And in years gone past in Forest Rally, and you knew the stage that Adrian was going to take time out of you, because he never lifted. If he got through that stage, he would take time out of you. And fair play. Sometimes I wish I didn't know.
Yeah, and Kevin, does that play in the back of your head that how that the stress that engine's under, and what went into building it? So are you kind of at the same time working with your engineer's head on as well as the driver's head?
The end of the day, they're built to take it, and they should be fit to take it. So, look, you don't really, once the helmet's on and you're gone, you don't really think about that. Mm-hmm. You're just trying to take the most of everything that you can, like, without, but still get it to the end, like. For sure.
And Gary, I don't know how I would put this most politely. Would you fall into the same category as Frank? Would you kind of go
ignorantism?
Yeah, well, that's one, yeah. Or would you be mechanically sympathetic?
It depends on the humour or where you are. If you're in a race and it's a tight battle, you'd say, fuck it, drive it on. It should be fit for purpose, like every mechanic car. But then if you have a bit of a gap and you're leading or something, you'd sit back and mind the car. It depends on the situation. Most of the time it's fuck it, let it on and see what happens.
Yeah, and I suppose it's very wise sitting here and saying, play the sympathetic card, but Daniel, I suppose when the battle's on, it's all that goes out the window.
Yeah, it's like what Frank was saying. used to be like, and David remember too, going back, and all the lads you could nearly bed yourself in on Friday because it's a long race. But the way it's going now, it's just every man's fighting for literally every 10th of a second, like on every stage. I'd say it's going to be no different. I think it's probably going to be everyone's going to go as hard as they can right from the off, and then just hope the car holds together and you're there at the end. I can't see these modified cars getting through 3 days at the pace that they're at. So something has to give, and then you're just hoping that you're going to be the one there at the end to just try and bring it home. That's the way I think it's going to go. Anyway. There's no crack in driving around for look for a finish. Anyways, you want to go flat.
No.
Declan flat out all the way then?
It's going to have to be. It's none of the rest of the boys are going to be backing off anyway, I think so. It'll have to be flat out from the word go, and as Daniel said, I suppose whoever makes it to the end, that'll be the decider then. Just
that's for sure. And like David, you've heard them saying that if you drive around kind of sort of half sensibly, you could still be there on Sunday and pick up but there'd be no fun in that, would there?
No, absolutely not. So yeah, I think as Daniel was saying earlier, it wasn't that long ago before you could bed yourself in, whereas now it's just the complete opposite. It's as hard as you can go from the first corner on the first stage. So yeah, I suppose that's what we'll need to do again this year anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And Connor, you want to jump in there?
Yeah, I suppose not to be controversial, but years ago, the rear wheel drive was the entertainment value, the sideways, the drifting. But it's so competitive now at the sharp end. Do you still, as drivers of rear wheel drive cars, do you still get that entertainment value, or is it more about the competition now than entertaining the spectators?
I just go out to entertain me, and whatever the fuck else happens, I don't give a shit. At the end of the day, that's genuinely the way I look at it. Is I go out to have fun, and the time at the end of the stage is grand. But if I haven't enjoyed it, recent rally, as I went home after 3 stages because I wasn't enjoying it. So I go to enjoy it, have fun. That's what it's all about.
David, for you, again, that you're there to compete, you're there to get the best result possible. But is there a part of you is like, okay, there's a group of spectators up here, there's a nice junction, I'll maybe give it a bit of extra welly?
Yeah, there's definitely a bit of that. If you see a Scotland flag, you always rev it that bit more before pulling another gear. So hey, it's all about enjoyment at the end of the day. But at the same time, if you're not competitive, then you don't enjoy it so much. So yeah, it's we've got to be on a good pace.
And Gary, you talked earlier about the difference, the R5s and the Mark IIs, but again, when you get having driven the R5 and Cavan there, and you get back into the Mark II again, is there that temptation to let it hang out a bit?
Yeah, well, it will be. The enjoyment I get is the adrenaline rush. So if you have a perfect stage on the limit, you come out at the end of the stage, you'd have a tremble in your hand. That's the enjoyment for me. It's mad.
Whenever you see the cigarette getting lit at the end of the stage, you've had a good...
No, that's every stage.
And Frank, just obviously Baby Blue's been through a rebuild. When you stripped a car completely back and rebuilt it, does it feel like the same car, or does it feel like you're getting into a different car, the first time you take it out again after a full...
It's always a different car. It never feels the same, and you always think it felt better before until you hit it again. You realise it felt better before that. You're continually chasing it. I've been trying now for about 18 months to not mess with the car and just keep it as it is and not keep trying to develop it. But I still do stupid things, and I still change the gear in a wee bit, and I still do wee things, and you just think, the older I get, the faster the car has to be to make up for me. So you're still trying to do that, but it is a bitch if you're going to every rally testing the water all the time. David probably would be happier with his old car, if you know what I mean, until you get settled into that. And then you go back and drive the old car someday and you go, Jesus, you know what? That was a big step forward. But it's really hard to know. But I've been trying very hard. And then last year with a far better run up to Donegal, because we got 6 or 7 rallies under our belt and got a nice base setting where I felt really comfortable and knew what was happening all the time, and into Donegal, and that was great. But this year it's been a sort of a stop and start and bang and wrecking and one thing and another. But glad I went to Laois last weekend. Felt good in Laois, and there were nice stages and nice weather and everything. And I feel happier now going to Donegal. Definitely, I'm glad I went and did that because it was lastminute.com.
Declan, you were saying, you know, haven't had as much seat time as you would have liked, you know, in preparation for Donegal. When you're sitting on the start of the first stage, you know, mentally, how are you getting yourself in the zone for you know, going flat out literally from the get-go?
I don't know. You're probably trying to memorize the stage when you're sitting at the start line. You know what's going to come ahead of you, and trying to get through it as quick as you can. Just and you know, normally you'd be nervous in the first one, like, and you like to get the first one over you, but you know, that's basically just probably trying to memorize the stage in front of you and what way it's going to go for you.
And Daniel, you know, stages you're familiar with on Donegal, is it a fresh set of notes every year, or do you just dig out the old ones and make a few amendments?
We're probably going to go fresh ones. I sort of like what Frank's sort of saying with my notes, I sort of keep developing and changing. I don't know why, but it ends up being more work for Andrew. I might make my notes from scratch, so it ends up being more work for Andrew to try and, you know, rub out and change what we're doing. I'm stopping and starting. Like, if you have the notes, or yeah, we can actually get a better flow just making the notes from scratch. So, and I thought I was maybe the only idiot at that, but it turns out I think Josh Moffat and his co-drivers, to do the same thing, even up to like Small's Gap, you know, where it never really changes. No, I think even though some of the stages I think this year are exactly the same, we're going to go with fresh notes, because I make wee tweaks all the time to them, and it's easier just to go from scratch. But yeah, interesting to see you.
And like, does any of the rest of you have like wee ticks that you have to do before you start a stage? Like, is there, you know, you have to put on the left glove before you put on the right glove, or there has to be like a certain, like, I don't know, bottle of water in the car, or, you know, speaking to Josh Moffat, he has to drink Lucozade before he starts the stage. Is there anything, like, Gary, is there any routine you have to do before you start a stage?
Put all your helmet and gloves, really.
And put the cigarette out.
Make sure you're belted in.
Zip the Red Bull bag closed in case you're roller and you hits in the face.
But David, is there anything like you feel that you wouldn't be comfortable starting the stage unless you had something done?
Nah, nothing really stands out. The only thing I would say is my belts. You know, I really tighten my belts as tight as I can get them. I'll drop one shoulder and tighten the belt, and I'll drop another one, and yeah, just make sure they're super tight. But nah, short of that, we're all good.
And like,
did you ever see Kevin Eves' routine at the start of the stage?
No.
Well, he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has to reverse into the car. He's not allowed. It's the only way you can get into it. It's good crack watching that.
But maybe it's something he's hit on this. Maybe this is his advantage. You'll all be doing it next week. But Daniel, you were away from like the rally in there for a few years and come back. Like, you've seen, like, has there been a huge development in the modified car in that, you know, it's only like, what, 4 or 5 years you're away. Have you seen a big change in the pace even in that time?
Yeah, I think it's just everything's moved on slightly. Like, I thought when I parked the car up in 2014, you know, it'll be a competitive car for any time. But no, it's just the same as everything. Dampers has moved on, brakes has moved on, the traction and tires has moved on. I don't think the power and engines and gearbox and stuff like that there hasn't really changed. But just the grip levels. I think that, look, the biggest thing is the effort that the guys are putting into their notes behind the scenes. Like, you know, a lot of guys are writing their own notes now, and they're studying DVDs, and they're like, it's like a semi-professional effort. Like, a lot of the guys would have been through the Billy Coleman cycle, and they would have seen stuff, and that's probably the biggest change. You know, boys probably would rock up on a recce not thinking it was the most important day, which it is, you know, and then they'd be scratching their heads wondering where the time was coming out on the Sunday morning. But that's all been figured out now.
Yeah, and like fitness levels, all that kind of thing. Like, that's
very important.
It's become a big part of rallying now too, hasn't it? Like, it really has. Like,
yeah, I'm just going for a jog here now after this.
But you know, Gary, like, you know, have you seen, even in your short, you know, like the 3 or 4 years now you've been like in the top level? Do you feel that you have to be looking after your fitness as well as your driving?
That's an awful stupid question. No, as soon as we get wrapped here, I might go for a pint. Yeah, your fitness probably, it would be an advantage, but I think ignorance plays a lot of that part too for me. So that makes up for the fitness, my ignorance.
I think, and Frank, like for a man like it's maybe a wee bit older than some of the rest of them here.
That's another
Jesus, go on.
Go on. I can take myself into a very deep hole here.
I know you live, you bollocks.
But do you feel that you need to be continually pushing yourself to keep it, at that level? Do you feel your fitness levels are, you talked about the older you get, the faster the car has to be.
There's no doubt about that. Like, I'm not at these guys' levels. I do my own thing, but I'm 57 now, so there's a lot of brain cells gone that I should never have let go because I only had a couple of them. But I train 3 times a week, have been for 10 years now, and I would say genuinely only for that I wouldn't be in a Millington or a 2.5 car. So I need to do that. When I was these guys' age, I did fuck all because you just were invincible and that was it. But I've realised, I only go to the gym to keep rallying. See, as soon as rallying's over, I'm never darkening the door of the bastard place again. That's it. I'm out of there. I'll be eating every bastard thing I can and laying my feet up. But no, definitely, it keeps me going and keeps it. And even after that accident in the circuit, when breaking ribs and stuff, I don't think I would have bounced back nearly as quickly if I hadn't had some kind of a fitness level. Like, I'm not a runner or anything like that. That's just weight training and stuff like that. There, definitely not one of them kind of dudes. But you just have to do it to keep in a Mark II escort, and especially going 3 days to Donegal. I remember, I think it was 2010 or 11, doing Donegal, and on the 3rd day, I was in complete autopilot. I may as well have been in a coma. I could not concentrate. I couldn't think anything. If the car got really out of hand, I hadn't the energy to take her back again. And that's when I realised I had to do something because, and see, last year, stepping out of her, I was ready to go again. No bother, let me at it again. Would have been happy to start another day's rallying. So it just goes to show, especially when you get older, you need to pay attention to shit like that.
Yeah. And Kevin, you're so busy at work and one thing and another. Have you time to kind of look after yourself as well as, is there a lot of prep goes into you as well as the car?
I would be reasonably well prepared, like, it'd be happening. But Frank says there, the concentration is the big thing, like, especially if you get into a battle and come Saturday evening, Sunday, and you need to be really on it, like, you need to be, the mental side of it, you need to be there, like, to keep the concentration, keep the thing going. Like.
We're all mental, Kevin.
But is there anything you can do to prepare yourself for that, or is it just
I suppose, look, if you're kind of reasonably physically fit, and I suppose just the preparation, then the same as the rest of the lads, like, you kind of have to take it reasonably seriously with your recce and preparing for it, like, and just once it starts, then that's it. You've done what you can do and go for it.
And David, you probably benefiting, John sitting, doing the Motorsport Ireland Rally Academy. You're seeing, some of the advantages that he's gaining. Are you picking up any tips there that you can bring to your own side of the car?
Well, he was recently in a sauna, an infrared sauna with his race suit on in preparation. So I think it's going to be hot in Donegal, but I don't think he'll need to do that. Yeah, those guys are obviously getting a lot of training, but Donegal's a long, hard event. These World Championship events, likewise, when you're dealing with the high temperatures like that, that's when your fitness really comes into it. So, yeah, I'd like to think I'm at a level now. I'm ready for Donegal anyway.
Excellent. And Connor, you want to come in there again?
I suppose what's needed for Donegal to really stand out at your level. What do you need to do, Gary? Mentally, when you're approaching Donegal, like what's the build up like now over the next week for you?
Try and get as much work done between Monday and Tuesday, and go away Wednesday to the recce. Look at Donegal, you need a lot of luck, and probably a big pair of balls to go and try and win above, because it's just, I have a funny feeling this year of any of the years, I think it's going to be faster than any other year. There's more boys coming to the top level, and I think it's going to be more of an even race than you see in other years. With the boys said 10 or 12 boys going to be there. I think this year it's just going to be absolutely mental.
And like, obviously, you know, everybody's juggling work and family life as well as then getting prepped for the rally. You know, Kevin, how do you get to switch off even, you know, be trying to get everybody else prepped for their cars for the rally and then get yourself ready for the rally? You know, where do you actually get to switch off sort of this week, or do you?
I suppose, look, once you get started in the recce, and like a lot of my own car pretty well sorted, you know, back a few weeks ago. Like ideally, you know, probably would have liked to maybe go to Cavan or do an event, you know, 2-3 weeks before, but I just know that I don't have the time, like, to re-prep the car, to be able to do that. So, like, you just have to make do with what you have, like. But no, other than that, look, I think now compared to years ago, most people that's going to do the like of Donegal are pretty well organised a few weeks before, like, whereas back like 10 years ago, like, you were still getting guys coming looking for mapping and engine installing the week of the rally. Like, you know, that sort of doesn't really happen anymore, or you know what's coming beforehand. Like, it's just cars are better and people are better organised that's doing it. Like.
Yeah. And David, with regard to, you know, getting the escort where you want it to be, how much more is needed, do you think, or are you kind of happy, do you think, going into Donegal, the cars where you want it to be?
Yeah, I suppose that's the $1,000,000 question. We don't really know, to be honest. I think it's on Friday, you know, when we see the stage times, that's when we'll really know. The car feels good, but again, until you're in competition and looking at the times of these guys, then it's very hard to say. But no, definitely out of the box, we're happy with it.
And then I suppose we'll start wrapping things up. We'll maybe do like a kind of a quick fire, like, you know, I'll ask you a stage and just the name of your stage and just a quick explanation why. So, Gary, favorite stage?
Favorite stage?
And why?
Fanad. Fanad is class. High speed, and it's very near the end.
Frank, same question to yourself?
It would have been Garton, but if you're talking about this year, the same as Gary, Fanad, there's a bit of everything in it. Balls to the wall from you start off, and you have high speed, and you have tactical, and you have tight, and you have everything. There's always big crowds about it, and when you see those walls coming towards the end, as long as you don't hit them, you know you've done the job.
Daniel?
Yeah, probably Atlantic Drive. Like it. I like the technical stuff. I like all the stages, to be honest with you. Glen's good as well. I don't know. It's hard for me to pick a stage. My favourite stage is Malin Head, but don't go up there anymore. So I'm not saying that. But no, yeah, I'm looking forward to these Friday stages just for something different, you know. So
for sure.
See what happens there.
Yeah. Declan, same question to yourself then?
I'd probably have to say Fanning as well. And like Frank there, Garton would be another one that would stick out in my head as well, you know. But Fanning, there's, you know, like there's a bit of everything in it, and there's piles of grip on it. Especially when it's dry, like, and good fast stage as well. That's probably fun, I would say.
Yeah. Kevin, yourself then?
I will look at it. Stage really.
We knew it was coming there.
Sorry.
No, that would be probably the best. Gary Gort there too, that they're using this year again. I do like it, like a real flowy stage, like. But no, Knockalla would be the best for me now to be.
Yeah.
Sure.
You call in for tape and you're going past.
Call on to the tape for when I'm passing the house, yeah.
And David, for yourself then?
I would say Glen. That's probably my favourite. I just think, you know, the section there that goes under the trees, you know, there's short corners, medium corners, long corners. You know, it's real nice when you get the car sliding and working well through there. So yeah, it's Glen for me.
And then finally, then your hopes ahead of the event. We'll do it the other way around then this time. David, like, what's your hopes ahead of the event?
Hey, the hopes are to be there or thereabouts pace-wise. You know, I think we all know it's going to be difficult. So yeah, if we can be there or thereabouts on the Friday, and then after that, whatever it'll be. But yeah, at the same time, it'd be nice to be driving over the finish ramp at the Mount Donegal.
Kevin, yourself?
I suppose, like to do what we done last year, but I suppose it's like you have to be there at the end as well. And sometimes it's nice to finish it. We had a few years there where we didn't finish it, and but look, you have to wait and see what comes for you in the weekend.
And Declan, what's your thoughts there?
I would say the biggest one would be the biggest hope would be to get to the end with the feeling going over the finish ramp of the Mount Donegal every year, and if we can manage to get a decent result as well, it'll be a bonus on top of it. So.
Daniel,
I hope to win. Simple as.
Simple.
Not going to make up the numbers.
No, yeah. Gary, your thoughts?
Top three probably be a good result. I don't know. I'll be going just flat out. I won't worry about fishing. Sunday's a long way away from Friday morning. Take it one stage at a time. Never mind one day, and go from there.
And Frank, yourself?
I will start on Thursday. Maybe get into the top 10 on Friday. Go a wee bit mad on Saturday. Go completely buck mental on Sunday.
and then by Monday you'll be ready for the rally.
I'll be in an asylum somewhere. If we can get down into Letterkenny on Sunday evening in one piece. Well, it doesn't even have to be in one piece. If there's four wheels on her, it'd be nice. But I don't mind taillights and stuff being missing. If we can get down into Letterkenny on Sunday, I think that would be class.
That was some entertaining chat we had, and there was as much crack off the air as there was on. And, it wasn't just the crack and the banter between them, it's the respect they have for each other as well.
Yeah, that's it. Like, they know how hard they're going, so anybody that can, get closer, equal or beat them, like they, that it took a sublime effort, and they recognise that. And the bit, about able to share parts with each other, if someone needs a bit for their car, to never leave a man behind, kind of thing, and that to me is, yes, I enjoy the competition on the stages and all that, but I just love those stories behind the story as well too. I think that's special as well.
Yeah, the camaraderie between them is just amazing. It really is.
That's for sure.
Yeah, and then you also had a chance to catch up with Kevin O'Driscoll as well, just to chat about all things Tarmac Championship.
Yeah, Kevin and myself got a chance to chat, and we sort of looked a wee bit at the history of the rally, but more, where the championship is at the moment, and kind of who we think might do well this weekend. So, without further ado, we'll hear from Kevin. Kevin O'Driscoll. We're at that time of the year again. It's June. June means one thing in rallying, Donegal.
Yeah.
What the championship so far has been brilliant. Coming into Donegal, Josh still in the lead of the championship.
Yeah, not by much. Maybe it's tight enough. Josh is 68 points, and going well, having a good year regardless. I mean, like last year, he was nearly unstoppable. He hasn't seemed as unbeatable this year, but he's still leading the championship and still driving very, very well. To be fair, Callum is probably putting it up to him this year. The most obvious one at the moment, and then of course you've Marion, who retired in Killarney. Donegal is a tricky one to know what's with Marion, because it hasn't done it that often. Donegal, as you know yourself, can be a specialist. You kind of either have form on or you don't. And I know Callum led the rally last year and probably should have won the rally, to be honest. Or certainly finished, but obviously crashed out on the Sunday morning. Josh probably wasn't the fastest driver over the first couple of days last year, but he was just there with the time when it mattered. And I think that's probably the secret of his success. He's just very, very consistent, and he's very, very good to get results when it looks like he may not get a result. This year Callum has made fewer mistakes, had a couple of wins, and probably momentum is probably with him a little bit at the moment. But as I said, Josh of course won Cavan, so there's no way to stop him.
Yeah, I think you're right there. What you're saying about Josh, he's there at the finish. And all our guys are maybe like this year especially, there's been other guys been that wee bit faster than him or whatever, but he has that tenacity about him, knows when to attack, knows when to hold back.
Tenacity is definitely the word you'd use. Yeah, it's just you just don't, you can't shake him up. Basically, he's there. He just make mistakes, and he's waiting for you to make a mistake. And if you blink, then he has his spot taken, and fair play to him. It's just a standard that guy. It's so high at the moment that you just have to got to admire him for the consistency as well as anything else.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah.
You know,
And
like Marion had third place last year, so I mean, he probably would have some kind of form in Donegal. And actually, he wasn't all that far behind Sam last year. So, you know, he's had a good year, probably a better year than last year, Marion, so far, but probably still not quite at the level of Josh or Callum. But then you see, he's not running over here much. He's just really, you know, he's not doing national rounds in between, and you know, maybe that's a couple of those rounds in between would probably help him as well along the way if you were to do them, you know.
That's for sure. You know, I spoke to him the other night, and he was saying, you know, like especially going into the likes of the circuit and things like that, or Clarny, he felt the other guys, but there's been a bit of a break from Cavan, so he's hoping that won't be as much of a card, and you know, coming forward to Donegal, you know.
Yeah.
But then he's coming back from having his accident in Killarney too, so that could be weighing on his mind for the first few stages. And the way the championships go, you can't even give them, you know, 10 seconds in the first stage. It's nearly impossible to go back.
It is, and I suppose I know we're kind of drifting slightly from it, but from the chat, but it's the first day of this year will be leveler. I think the first day, because it's so long. I'm not sure when last those stages were used. Not that long ago, but certainly most of those guys wouldn't have done them. But I think it'll be a leveler. It'll be tricky. I've looked at them, and they look to be challenging. So I think you know, before we see in rallies where you be 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 of a second or stages, I think you might see with bigger gaps on these stages, just for the simple reason they're not as familiar to people, and it will be just very, very interesting to see. Like, somebody could take a look pile of time on the first stage, but mightn't go so well on the second stage. So, you know, it may help like Marion maybe to get off to that kind of a start, because you know, if you're out of the car for a little while or whatever, and you're starting with, say, something like Fanad or Glyn or somewhere like that, it might be a different story. But to go to 3 stages that wouldn't be familiar to a lot of people, you know, just might give them a chance to get up to some kind of speed. And that goes for anyone else challenging. Josh as well.
We can't forget the elephant in the room, Matt Edwards. You know, like we seen what they done last year. You know, like it's what he done last year in his first visit to Donegal. You know, I think opened a lot of people's eyes. Yes, Donegal, you need to do the rally. You don't have to do it like a pile of times to put up the time.
And he was extremely quick in the Midlands, wasn't it? She was in actually in a car that he'd never driven before, and that was a 1-day rally. So I mean, give him 3 days in the car, and you know, it'll be a different story. And to be honest, he's the guy I'd be leading to in terms of winning the event. You know, I just think ultimately he's no championship to worry about. He can go straight for the win, you know, and I think that's what he'll be doing. So he'd be the guy I'd be thinking. He's the guy to be caught on the weekend of the rally itself. Just come back to our championship people there. The top 6 are Robert Barrable 4th, Johnny Greer 5th, and Sam in 6th. And like Rob is having a good year, but like we said about Josh before Killarney, which, you know, kind of came out a little bit again, Donegal's not kind to Rob and hasn't been in the past. So I think any kind of result here would be a big achievement for Rob. He just hasn't been his luckiest event in the past. Going very well this year, and very, very solid and really quick as well. And maybe again these Friday stages might suit in the fact that he's not going, like, he does know those stages, but these stages on Friday will be kind of new to a lot of people, and I think it'll make it interesting. Johnny had a very disappointing result in as Sam did actually as well in Killarney. You know, very uncharacteristic for both drivers to go off the road, so they'll be looking to get back at it again too. But it's very hard to look past Josh, Callum, or Matt for the win.
I think so too. And then, but in fairness to Sam, he has some good history in Donegal, 2-time winner as well too.
He has, Well, we have 5 former winners on the list. You know, we've Josh, with Sam, with Gary, with Declan Boyle, and Gareth McHale. So we have there's pedigree there in the guys down the field as well. You know, so. It'll be interesting, and it won't be easily won anyway. I can't see it be like that.
No, and
will be a shaking day, and it could be the sort of thing that if somebody pulls out, say, a substantial lead of 20-25 seconds on the first day, which is quite possible, going into the second day, despite the mileage, the familiarity of the stages may, you know, mean that there might be very little swap between the drivers. So a lot of the time gained could be gained on the first day, you know, so you could lose it, but you could also gain it on the first day too, you know. So
that's it. You might not win the rally, but you can certainly lose the rally on the first day.
Oh, absolutely, because you're not. I don't see that you can make as much time up on the next 2 days after that, as quick or as long as some of those stages are. It's just the familiarity would probably mean that the margins for taking big amounts of time aren't there.
That's for sure. And then, you know, going into the modified championship this year, there has been some great entries, but there's been a lot of unlucky or unreliability in some cases too. And like through it all has come, Eddie Doherty then has come through, and he's leading the championship going into Donegal.
Yeah, it's as we said before we came on air there. I mean, it's like Simon Reid last year. Simon kind of, had consistency and he eventually ended up taking the championship. Eddie, of course, will be buoyed by the fact that he's won his first ever rally last weekend as well in Laois. So, I mean, and to be fair, he's going really well this year, really quick. Yeah, I mean, on the other hand, some of the contenders have been unlucky this year. I mean, Kevin Eves probably doesn't have any luck at all, to be fair. I mean, he's probably the fastest of the whole lot. Gary has had, retirements, but he also had 2 wins and he's not that far behind. Fancy Gary to go well again. Obviously, other guys that have been there like Mark Alcorn and I think who else is in there? I know
Daniel
Jason Black
McKenna,
isn't down.
yeah. No, Jason's not down to Donegal, but Daniel McKenna, I think could be. He's moved to Donegal now. He's won it once. He knows how to win the rally. I think if he finds his groove, he'll be hard beat as well. Too. And then Kevin Gallagher, I know he's not.
Well, Kevin again, again, going back to this whole first day thing, I think if he gets through that first day, I think he will. He's my favourite for the modified national sectional because he was unbelievably faster last year. I mean, 7th overall, I think, is something fantastic drive and quite capable of doing the same thing again.
For sure.
And well suited Donegal.
That's for sure. And then the historic too, the historic championship continues to go from strength to strength every year, and this year's no exception.
It is. It's quite unusual, though. I mean, they have a full list in Donegal of 29 cars, but yet only one of the first 8 in the championship is actually doing the event. That's Trevor Wilson. He's 7th at the moment, but Duncan Williams, Wayne Evans, Neil Williams, Will Onion is not doing it. All these guys. So it's unusual that you have full entry of historics, but yet only very few of the regular contenders. Yeah. So like Trevor Wilson could actually. Why don't you move up the second, with a good result there? And he's quick in that Porsche and shows that Porsche around like anything, But, in terms of the actual the field itself, I mean, I think look top 2. Actually, I see Duncan is doing the rally. Actually, so I missed out on him. Actually, I think he'll strengthen his case, but I think it'll come down to the top 2. It'll be Tommy O'Connell and Martin McCormick will be.
I think the times that Tommy and last year, were up there with the class 13 guys and upsetting some class 14 guys, for an historic BDG Escort and some performance last year. And yes, if the carriage faulty Tommy, it's going to be hard beat. And we spoke to Marty in Barney a couple of weeks ago. Marty's first time doing Donegal. That's unbelievable.
It's his first time doing Donegal.
Yeah, isn't that a strange fact?
I would have thought he'd have competed in the Citroen back in the day. That's very unusual. Yeah. Okay. It's an interesting one now. It's looking forward to seeing him in action. Of course, then you have the likes of Adrian Hetherington as well, and you have Michael McDade, very, very quick drivers. Martin Doherty, really, really quick drivers in that. So
that's for sure. Yeah,
interesting to see. But I think Duncan could almost wrap up. I would say the championship. We're very close to, I say, with a strong result there anyway. Because I mean, we're now into the 6th round. It's the 5th rally. 6th, yeah, it's the 6th rally, isn't it? It's 5th main and 6th historic. Yeah. So no, obviously there'll be extra points in the last 2 rounds, but even at that, like Duncan's having a very good year anyway and very consistent. So I think in championship terms, he'll be just looking to bring it home now and get as many points as he can. He doesn't need to do anything. He's not racing against a huge amount of his contemporaries on it, so he's in a good position enough. But I think it'd be interesting to see how Marty. I think Marty and Tommy will be the 2 guys that'll be ones to watch on that. But look, I'm there to be proven wrong.
We always learn in rally and never make predictions.
Make predictions. I have enough of them made already. Yeah.
Yes. And Donegal, and run its 51st year. The history of the event is something else. We've had Irish champions, world champions, rising stars. It's one of those events that just seem to, it brings out the best of Irish rally and beyond. Its history speaks for itself.
It does. It's just ultra competitive. It's probably like a second Christmas, as someone described it recently on social media. It is a second during the year, and it is even for me. It's a few days holidays for me every year that I kind of been making for most of the last 25 years. And it is, and people are fantastic up there. It's brilliant. It's great. Weather isn't always the kindest up there, but it's just the whole atmosphere. And it's just, I think it's you're gathering the best of what's rallying in that given year at the time. And that's really, it's very few of them tend to miss it. And I don't think this year will be any different. It'll be one to look forward to. Just looking at previous winners, Josh won it last year. It's been, compared to some rallies, actually, there's been a few back-to-back wins. Like we're looking at Carl Curley, John Lyons, Billy Coleman, Manis, Bertie Fisher, Esbit.
Mhm.
The
Donnelly.
last person to do it, Donnelly, and the last person to do it actually before Manus was Gareth McHale. So, that's 12, 13, 14 years ago. So it's it's been interesting to see if Josh can join that group of back-to-back winners. No easy task, but it'll be interesting. And as I said, there's been plenty of guys that come to Donegal and not won it either, of course.
This is it. Like, because it's probably the only 3-day rally left in Ireland or the UK. It's 3 days, and it used to be Friday. Yeah, you could just bed yourself in, and Saturday then pick up the pace. Sunday then but it's not anymore. It's go for it right from the word go. There's no, there's no marathon element to it anymore now. It's a sprint from the word go.
No, I think really it was the most dramatic rally. I can recall in recent times was 2016 when Manus won it by the half second from Keith Mullen, where he had 4 or 5 changes of leadership. Even last year, to be fair, I mean, Josh was 4th going into Sunday last year, and all of a sudden he walked out with the win, But by and large, Sunday it tends to be kind of more of a holding day, but it has happened a few times where the lead has changed hands in the last 4 or 5 years. But it is interesting. And this year it won't be any different. Just won't be any margin really to puncture or any kind of a slight triple bank could prove too much for a person's chances. But but at the same time, I think it will come down to Josh, Callum, and Matt for the most part. And as I said, if anyone else can mix it with them on the opening day, then they have a chance of staying in with them. But it'll be ferocious. I think the pace between the first 3 of those guys will be ferocious, and and it could play into the hands of the likes of Marion and Rob if they're trying to, and Sam if they're trying to gain points, if the others are going to push themselves too hard, But like, I suppose in Matt's case, he doesn't lose. He's not doing a championship anyway. He's just going to win the rally. So it's a case of what the boys behind are challenging him.
Yeah,
where
much
they want to take it. How much of a risk are they prepared to take? So I think that'll be interesting. So like, as I said, it'll be an interesting one. And actually go back to our championships with Paul Brown, Plantair Junior Championship as well. We've with 6. There's three Cork drivers actually in the top of the championship there, and that'll be an interesting one as well because Robbie O'Hannon's leading at the moment. Dara Donovan from my neck of the woods near Clonakilty is second, but has won the last 2 rounds in Clonakilty and West Cork, so he'll be one to watch. And what's I keep mixing the 2 names up here. It's Barry McIntyre's Cork and Ben McIntyre's Cavan. Both of those boys are doing it as well, and you've Dara Bonner as well and Jordan Jervis. So those 6 drivers are doing the junior championship, and they're all taking part in Donegal this year. So it'll be interesting. It's unusual probably for 3 Cork drivers to be at the top end of the junior championship, and this will be a good test for the 3 of them, because they're taking on drivers who've had to travel up to now, where now they're doing the travelling. So it'll be interesting to see
I know they're in their home ground,
and just to see how it'll go. So hard to call that one, but I think Dara's had very good pace so far. But I think if he can stay, if reliability in the past has been an issue for him in the car, if that stays okay, I think he'll be hard to beat there.
That's for sure. Young Jervis and young Bonner, they're both Donegal men too. So it's their home territory this time. So
exactly, and they'll want to make a mark as well. Sure. Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's only in championship terms, notwithstanding some of the guys that are already there, like Kyle McBride and Gary Cassidy and these boys, and Jack McKenna. Like there's no slouches there. All guys capable of very good, strong result.
They're the guys going to be going.
Again, with no championship to worry about. With no championship to worry about, they can go ahead for leather at it.
Thanks very much there to Kevin for taking the time. Great to catch up as always. And I think you'll find this interesting now. I spoke to Jason McConnell, like a young fella that enjoys his rallying, but goes about it in a completely different way. The way he's approaching the whole social media side of the thing, I think it's mind blowing. See what you think yourselves. Donegal coming up at the weekend. The fever's building. What's it like to be thinking I'm going to be starting Donegal now in a few days' time?
To be very honestly, it didn't sink in yet. I think someone was in me today, and the best thing I could describe it as, if you're not in the rallying, Donegal is sort of like you're in the crowd of Croke Park for every All Ireland, and all of a sudden you're walking out of the tunnel and you're actually playing in and that is what Donegal is. It is the All Ireland rally, and so even the recce, I was happy enough with the recce, never mind doing the rally. So it'll be, I think when the helmet goes on the first stage now, it'll seem real, but until then it's mad, crazy to think of.
Yeah, because we're growing up watching, the likes of, Nesbitt, Donnelly, the Moffats, whatever, over the stages like Knockalla, Atlantic Drive, Fannet Head. You're going to get doing that at the weekend. That must be a real pinch yourself moment.
Oh, it's a bucket list. It really is. It's a bucket list thing. I think anyone who says they want to do Donegal, I think they're lying, because it's one of these things you have to do. And I think I missed it once since I was 2 years old, and I'm 24 now. So it's just, I've been on every ditch, I've been on every corner. It's just now driving it is it's all, as I said, it actually just, the best way I can describe it is it just didn't sink in yet, but yeah, that's the.
And you've only been rallying now for just a little over a year. How you find your rallying so far?
Yeah, I suppose we had the joys of social media. We had a poor enough start, I guess, but we were very unfortunate. Anything that could go wrong sort of went completely wrong, to be honest with you, even behind the scenes. And, engines blowing and stuff, and engines taking on time to get built. So we actually only got the engine back for the Circuit of Kerry this year. And Saturday evening it refused to start. So the lads in Fairness to C Sport back in the Galway picked up a Fiesta Rally 4. It had had a small off the weekend before, so they had to get it sorted. We went to bed that Saturday evening, and it was my brother Daniel, he's sitting with me. It was his first rally, and we had no idea what car we were driving the following day. So it was very hard to prepare. And we woke up next morning, down at breakfast, we were eating away, still no idea for what car we were going to be driving. So yeah, rush was on. I went outside, got the car scrutiny, got the seats moved, steering wheel moved, and I suppose showed a couple of buttons and away we went. And the first time I drove that car was in the first stage, so it was totally in the deep end, but we're well used to it.
Yeah, and that kind of been thrown at the deep end. It's sometimes not a bad thing. You have to learn either to swim or to sink, and it's a great way to learn.
It is, and the only thing is that, driving cars like that, they're not the cheapest thing in the world. So that's been on your mind as well, especially with Danny, his first time out. But yeah, I have to say, like, when you get an opportunity like that, you try and grab it and use your head and you don't go crazy. But no, even just to drive that car, it was nice because obviously that's the newer generation of my car. Mine's the R2 versus the Rally 4. And yeah, there is a massive difference, and it showed me that. So it was good one set, but then you want to stick with the future for now.
Yeah, and your 208's back and ready for action now at the weekend. Like, a fantastic wee car as well.
Oh, but this, I love my front wheel drive stuff. I know the whole Irish thing's modifies and rear wheel drives, and don't get me wrong, I absolutely love them as well. But I think for starting off, the front wheel drive is ideal. Naturally aspirated, high revving, makes all the right noises. It's really fun to drive. We think we have the suspension sorted now for to suit the Irish stuff. It's not like the European stuff they're made for. But yeah, real fun car. I'm just looking forward to get over. I actually don't know real fast HSS, but the likes of the end of Glen and stuff, I'm really looking forward to that. Like, I'm the child of Christmas stuff.
Yeah, I could think that's the kind of smooth, flat surface that them cars are built for. Like, so that really should come into its own then, So
absolutely, because everybody so far loads of gravel and front wheel drive on gravel. You have to be careful. You can't be stuck with them. But no, I think in a couple of stages now, I'm really looking forward to tackle. So I think hopefully it suits the car.
Yes, for sure. And you mentioned earlier on social media, like that is your forte, shall we say? Like, you're coming from that kind of background. We keep hearing from organisers, from marshals. No, it's the same pool of people that we've been pulled from, and the age profile is getting no younger. What do you feel as a young person and as somebody that's like a social media influencer? What can the rally community do to help attract a younger audience?
Well, I think it hasn't even reached 1% of its potential yet. I think social media is everything nowadays. If you look at it, like the amount of people that's watching movies has gone down. I think everyone's watching the likes of TikTok and YouTube and stuff like that. So everybody wants content straight away. Nobody wants to wait. And I think it's the same when it comes to rallying. Everyone wants the news up to date and everything. And I think clubs are particularly getting used to it now. So for the likes of myself, it's, as you said, with marshals and stuff, without marshals, there's no rallying. Yeah. You can do so much through it. I think with the younger generation online as well, it's very important to build the profile up and to show the importance of it. Because a lot of people doesn't understand. Even myself, I'm following rallying as all my life. Okay, I'm not around 100 years, but it's only when you do a rally, you actually get to respect what goes on. You have all the volunteers at the start and end of stages doing recce, sign off. It's unbelievable. I just think it's very important to highlight that. And hopefully, if you don't want to go rallying, or if you do want to go rallying, then help the clubs out. And I think if you put that into people at a younger age, it's easier than doing it when they're slightly older.
Yeah, because there is this hidden army going on, that's never seen. Like, people just think they can rock up at a rally on a Sunday morning or a Friday morning, and it just happens miraculously. There's months, it's not even weeks; it's months of preparation that goes on, and and it's not one or two people. This is an army of people making this happen.
It is unbelievable. And the thing is, okay, I haven't done a whole pile of rallying, but I have noticed a lot of the same faces, which is obviously it's a credit to them. But it'd be good to see a different generation come into it. But I think as well, the likes of myself, I suppose I started documenting this whole thing from getting my rally license to doing the first rally to we done Monaghan. That was my local rally, the first rally. We hired the car, the build up to that. But after that, I struggled to get entries.
Yeah.
So I think, well, when you show the truth behind it all and how difficult it really is, I think when you set expectations, there's a lot that can be done behind the scenes there as well. There may be younger people to get in. So say if you do your rally license, if you marshal on 2 events, you get a bonus point into qualifying to get for an. There's a lot that can be done behind the scenes, and it's not rocket science. It's just, I suppose, it's putting a plan in place because, as you said at the start, and you're 100% right, if you start on social media, it's in front of everyone's eyes in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
You have to do newsletters. There's none of this old school slower procedure. This can be done pretty quick, literally overnight.
Yeah, because we see Kiernan, and what he done a few years ago, the end of stage reporting, that was revolutionary at the time. But it's only the first step on what could be done.
This is it. I suppose if a lot of people takes it for granted, what Kiernan and the lads are doing, that is an unbelievable service. We were coming on the road and I said, remember we were listening, come at Donegal, you'd be tuning to Highland, listening to Dushing at stages. We have that straight away on your phone and you have the video and you have everything. People never got this before. It's important to appreciate that. But yeah, as you said, Kiernan and a lot of people is moving on as well. So it'll be exciting to see where it's going to end up.
That's for sure, because it is such an untapped thing. And again, we're not even just saying this is an Irish rally, and this is worldwide. Even the WRC is probably not fully embracing the full power of social media.
No, well, in fairness, Dirtfish, Colin Clark, I think I watched that man all day talking, but what they're doing versus what the WRC promoters doing. The WRC, I pay for the app, whatever, €11 a month, whatever. I don't even just watch Dirtfish, and they are embracing it. They're uploading when something happens.
Yeah.
And that's a key thing here. This has to be done. There's no point uploading something an hour later.
No, people want straight in that stage. Yeah. No.
In an hour's time, it's all news.
Yeah. That is the crazy thing about it. That's the world we live in. That within an hour, something that was bang up to date is gone. There's another story already taken over.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
And I suppose we could talk about that all night. But what is your expectations now heading into the rally? What would you like to see Friday and then going into Saturday? Would you like to see a progression there?
Yeah, definitely. So I suppose Friday stages are probably a wee bit more tricky, especially then the stage 1 stuff. So the plan is to get through Friday and get over the classics, because I think that's what everyone's here for. And for me anyway, that's what I want. A finish, if we get a finish, I will be delighted. I will not be seen for a week after Donegal if we get a finish. So hello, Ian McCaffrey's for the week to be no leaving.
Yeah.
But no, look, it is Donegal is Donegal. You want to, there's no point being silly. You want to experience every stage, every kilometre. And of course enjoy it, and it's cool to have Danny with me as well. It's a nice experience to have the brother in the car. So we didn't kill each other yet, so it's a good start.
That isn't that one of the great things about rallying, that you're able to share your experience, and to have your brother makes it even better again.
Oh, it is, and that's what I was saying. It's not everyone can say they don't know what their brother and stuff, and okay, you kill each other sometimes, but it's you look back in times like this and you say it's unbelievable. I suppose going back to the social media as well. You've people text me already, and they're coming from, there's people who never went to a rally before, and they're coming up. Like, I remember we were down at Cork 20 that time, and we're sitting in just a foyer of the hotel or whatever, and this family come up to me, and they never went to a rally in their lives, and they drove 3.5 hours down just to support us. And I just said to myself, I remember that was one thing I'll never forget. I was like, wow, the power of social media. It is crazy. I suppose we just embrace this since then. And Donegal, I suppose, it shows we're lucky to have a lot of people on board with us, and I think 90% of the car of the sponsors are from Donegal, so that says it all.
Yeah, but this is again the power of social media. You're a young fella starting out, and the career rallying, and you're attracting some real good top class sponsors. But that's because they know they'll get the exposure. They're getting something out of putting something in.
Oh, absolutely. I'm the first to say it. I'm not going out to win rallies or anything. I'm pure there to enjoy it. Work comes first and the rally in the secondary, that's the fun. So but we're not taking it overly seriously. We're going to enjoy it, we're going to laugh, we're going to smile, and to have these people on board is unbelievable. And I suppose we're in a good position that we're able to help them out. I suppose you know, and a couple of bigger brands say not to do a rally, but other stuff. And I'd often say no more than yes, because, you know, for people who has followed me, I don't want to be selling stuff to them that is no good to them.
No.
So brands that, you know, we're involved with makes total sense, and the people behind them is equally as good. So no, it's great, I have to say.
I think that, you know, that is like, you know, with rallying, the sponsors have the opportunity to have their product placed in front of, like Donegal this weekend. They're talking up to 100,000 people coming. Like, that's probably, again, something that's probably not properly utilised, that, you know, you could have your shop window there in the front of all those people.
But and I know we keep going back, but, you know, you top that off on social media. It is incredible. Like, I can remember the Cavan rally that 1 week. So say for the 7 days from the lead up to the weekend and a few days after, I think just TikTok alone, we had 1.6 million views. So when you put that out to as many eyeballs looking at your brand, like, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, like, when it's only when you put into that context you actually realise the scale of it. And obviously when you come to Donegal, sure, that's just, it's different level.
Yeah, and like Ken Bloke was over here in 2019, and like the videos he was putting up, like, it was in the millions, like what the, you know, the clicks they were getting, and like it was like, you know, he was showing Donegal in such a positive way, you know, beaming this around the world. It's a no-brainer why there should be more of this done.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and I think as more time goes on, more people is actually realising the power of it. So we will probably see a lot more people coming on board. But I think anyone who's I suppose, what's the word I'm looking for, who's taking it, the advantages with both hands, they're really switched in. So
yeah. Well, Jason, it's been an absolute pleasure, and all the best at the weekend, and enjoy the rally and enjoy those classic stages.
We will. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Good
Cheers.
Like that, Jason, what can we say? Like, that is so interesting. I do think that there's a lot more to come from that side of Connor. Like, you know, I don't know anything about TikTok. I don't know anything about all these things. You know, it's a whole new world out there.
It is. You know, but again, you know, 2-3 years time, you never know what the next fad will be as well. So it's constantly having to keep up with what's happening out there.
Yeah, but like, you know, when he's putting up a video and there's getting over 1 million views on it, like, there's such an untapped potential out there to, you know, we're always going on that we need to attract young blood and new blood to the sport. Maybe there's something that can be done there. I don't know. Like, no point asking me because I don't know anything about it. But you know, there's opportunities out there for something.
Absolutely, and it is, you know, and it's that younger audience. I suppose we're both showing our age now here, but it is that younger audience that, you know, we want to get into motorsport, and you know, we have to embrace the technology that's being used out there by you know, the teenagers and the guys, you know, in their 20s, that we want to be out on the stage as marshals, as, you know, timekeepers, you know, competing, whatever it is.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, that's probably a chat for another day. It's way above us. But yeah, so rally coming up this weekend. Please, if you're out there spectating, please do as you're told by the marshals, officials, all that. You know, they're there for your safety. So everybody, just stay safe for everybody competing at the weekend. You know, have a good, safe, enjoyable rally. It's going to be epic for all the people that helped pull the rally together, all the organisers, all that. Thank you so much. What more can we say? But the most important thing is, everybody enjoy the weekend, have fun, stay safe, and until next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.